Getting stuck in an unsatisfying place in your life is an almost universal experience, though it varies in intensity. And what stops people from getting unstuck is usually the intensity of their desire to get unstuck. The problem isn't that they're not motivated. The problem is they're too motivated. Today, I'll show you how that works. I'm Randy Patterson, author of The Assertiveness Workbook and How to Be Miserable, and this is a channel with videos on psychological topics. If you like this kind of thing, click subscribe below. I do a lot of psychotherapy, and there are two common features of the people I and others see. First, they feel stuck in some way, and second, they've already tried to get unstuck. You see, nobody develops a symptom or gets into some kind of dark place in life and instantly says, well, I need a therapist. Not right away. They try to deal with it first, and that's probably a good thing. 90% of the problems we face can be dealt with that way. We are going to solve most of our own problems. But there are certain areas of life where the obvious thing to do is only going to make things worse. In anxiety, for example, we figure out what's making us anxious and we avoid that thing. Simple. But it turns out that that's usually how to make an anxiety problem worse, not better. Or we're depressed and we don't feel like doing anything, so we stay at home and wait for that desire to come back. Usually doesn't work. Or we don't feel confident about doing something new, so we wait for that confidence to appear before we get started. It never appears. When we get into real trouble in our lives, often half the reason it's become so bad is that we've been trying to make it better, and inadvertently we've set it in stone. So let's imagine someone who's feeling really quite stuck. I've done a lot of work with young adults struggling at the gap between adolescence and independent adulthood. Sometimes they've coped with the anxieties of adult life and expectations by retreating toward comfort, staying at home, watching screens a lot, avoiding going outside, often sleeping during the day, and being awake at night when there are fewer people and demands. So imagine a person who's lived like that for several years and has come to realize that this isn't working. I'm more anxious than I started, and I can see this can't go on forever. And maybe my parents are pulling back and doing what parents are supposed to do, which is to reduce their parenting. Or maybe it's the parents who go to therapy and they've been trying for years to get their young adult to change, and they're the ones feeling stuck. It seems like they've tried it all and nothing is working. Or maybe there's some other problem like depression or anxiety or OCD, and it's been going on for a long while and nothing seems to be helping. The more desperate you get for change, the more it feels like you need radical measures. Young adults think they need to apply for 5 jobs a day. Parents think they need to toss the young adult out onto the street or cut them off from all care. Depressed people decide to make a schedule for every hour of the day and try to stick to it. People with OCD pledge not to check or clean anything anymore. And none of that works. They can't keep it up. But they think that if only they were more dedicated or more capable or motivated or were just, better people, they'd manage. So they keep trying and the problem just gets more and more stuck. Now you'd think that if you were a therapist, the hardest thing in the world would be to get people to take on big tasks. But actually, it's harder to invite people to let those big tasks go, to help them see that the way they've been coping hasn't really worked, at least not in the long run, and it may be making the problem worse. And that this fact does not make them foolish and does not mean that they're somehow a bad person. And the really hard sell is to recommend they do something stupid instead, something trivial, something so small that it can't possibly make a difference. Something that activates that sense of urgency and impatience. That's not going to get me anywhere. This is a serious problem. It needs more than that. But the solution to most of these issues isn't with a dragon's bite. It's with a mouse's nibble. Look, if you've been terrified for 10 years of grocery stores, the solution is not to get you into a mega grocery store. It's to give up on that for now, and maybe even to forbid yourself from going into mega grocery stores, at least for now. And instead, it might be to walk past a 7-Eleven without even going in. What, I'm going window shopping for junk food? That's stupid. Yeah, it is. And that's the path. The person who needs a job is feeling that so urgently that all the steps leading there are invisible to them. The right move might be to spend 10 minutes sitting outside on the front step of their own home. It might be to set an alarm clock to wake up 15 minutes earlier, maybe at 4 p.m. instead of 4:15. Or to look and see where the bicycle got stored when they put it away 5 years ago. Or to sit at a bus stop as if they were going to ride a bus and not get on one. Imagine a parent who's been making every meal for their young adult and delivering it on a tray to their door with a knock. The first step might be to do exactly that, but not knock. The knock is not the big problem, and not knocking doesn't save them any time, and it might be the right step. Not the only step, obviously, but the right one to start with. People who need to exercise often think they need to get started and spend 2 hours at the gym, maybe every day. But the right step might be just to visit a gym and look around, or to forget gyms altogether and start walking 10 minutes at a time. With anxiety problems, there seems to be a rule. Treatment almost always involves some steps that seem incredibly foolish. Browse in a store and don't buy anything. Sit for an hour with a chihuahua in a dog carrier 10 feet away. Put a photograph of a snake on your bathroom mirror. Stupid. In therapy, this fear of doing something stupid or too small or too easy or something seemingly pointless is often one of the biggest barriers to improvement. In psychology, we talk a lot about anxiety tolerance or distress tolerance or the tolerance of uncertainty. But we don't talk as much about triviality tolerance, the ability to put up with tasks and steps so small they seem ridiculous. My clients don't live in a vacuum. They're often surrounded by people saying, more, try something harder. And they live in a culture that says, set your sights high, do your best, try your hardest. Listening to all that can be why they're stuck. One of my therapy mantras is, we don't want your best. Your best is not welcome here. Another one is, when in doubt, do something stupid. Now, obviously, I don't mean go kayaking without a life jacket or blindfold yourself on a bicycle, but it does mean do something smaller than you think is necessary. I live in Canada. When people get their car stuck in the snow, they usually feel this great sense of urgency to get unstuck. They press down the accelerator and spin the wheels, and the car only gets more stuck. They need to take their time, gear down, and put the least pressure possible on the accelerator, allowing the wheels to get some traction, and then gently rock the car forward. And in therapy, much the same principle works. It works in life outside therapy as well. There are other videos on this channel on the psychology of everyday life. Click the subscribe button for more. I also have an online course site, psychologysalon.teachable.com, with programs for professionals and for the general public. And my book, How to Be Miserable, 40 Strategies You Already Use, is available from online booksellers, as well as my book, The Assertiveness Workbook. Thanks for watching.